Good afternoon, friends. We want to study the subject that is data mining. And in that, the module 1 that is Introduction to Data Mining. Okay, so let us see the previous lecture. Revision. Okay, the previous lecture revision we want to know. So, what are they? Let's see. Yeah. So, in previous lectures, we have considered the definition of data mining. What is that? Data mining or knowledge discovery from data is the process of extracting interesting, non trivial, implicit, previously unknown, and potentially useful patterns or knowledge from huge amount of data. We have seen the functionalities of data mining. In that, we have seen classification, what it is, wherein we have labels of data that is in the training data, and based on that we will be having the data that is unknown data classified. Clustering, wherein labels are not there in the data. Based on characteristics of objects or data, groups are formed. Outlier, that is data which is significantly different from the existing data. Frequent patterns, that is, it can be defined as a pattern that is a set of items, subsequence, substructures, etc. that appears intermittently in the data. Generalization, it is going from smaller category to broad category. And as for example, city to state. Specialization, that is going from broader category to detailed concept, which is specialization. As for example, state to city. So now more functionalities we want to know, that is we can say association and correlation analysis. We already know what is frequent patterns, that is what is frequent item sets and how to find that. That example also we have seen in previous lectures, like so what items are frequently purchased together in your particular mall or shop or whatever you consider. Fine. So for them, we are having association, associated with other items, correlation versus causality, right? So what do we say? A typical association rule. The example which I used to say, that is, if person purchase bread, this implies that butter will also be purchased. With two terms, we can say this rule, and these two terms are support and confidence. With how much support. That is, you can say that in the transactions, how many times you found that appears together, divide by the number of transactions. That is the support and confidence. With how much confidence you can say that people who purchase bread will purchase butter also. The formula of these two terms and the proper definitions we'll see later in that particular chapter. But just now we are only trying to get few terms which we are going to learn in our subject. Fine. So this is the association rule, and that we can accept with some support and some confidence. Fine. Are strongly associated items are strongly correlated. We can say that strongly associated items, bread and butter, they are strongly associated. Are they strongly correlated also? That is, if the increase in the bread purchase is there, can you say that the butter also purchase will increase in the same way? We do not know, right? That we need to see for a particular example, isn't it? How to mine such patterns and rules efficiently in large data sets. How to use such patterns for classification, clustering, and other applications. This is what we want to know. Next is classification. We have already talked of it, isn't it? So why to know it again? Some more details are there, right? So what are they? We know that when classification is there, label is already available in the training data. That means this is the photo of cat, this is the photo of dog, this is the photo of dot dot dot, right? So that is available. So label is there. What it does, it construct models based on some training examples. Describe and distinguish classes or concepts for future prediction. As for example, classify countries based on climate or classify cars based on gas mileage. Predict some unknown class labels. And typical methods of classifications are decision trees, naive Bayes classification, support vector machines, neural networks, rule based classification, pattern based classification, logistic regressions, right? Classification predicts categorical levels, whereas regression model continuous valued function. And this regression, what we have considered is classification. In that, all these things are typically used for classification methods, whereas regression is typically used for prediction. It is, you can say, for predicting something. That is, as for example, predicting house price based on the number of rooms, or you can say based on particular features, right? So for that, what do we say is classification. The difference between classification and prediction is many a times being asked. So there people say that the classification predicts, see, both predicts the thing, right? Classification also predicts, regression, that is one method, but you can say prediction also predicts. So what is the difference between them? Classification predicts categorical labels. Categories are there. Such labels, classification predicts, whereas regression, or you can say prediction, it predicts what? Continuous valued function. It is often used for numeric prediction. It defines or identifies the distribution trends. Typical applications, they are credit card fraud detection, direct marketing, classifying stars, diseases, web pages, etc. For cluster analysis, it is unsupervised learning. See, first of all, we should have the idea what is supervised and what is unsupervised. Let me give you the example. Let me put it here. See, supervised. What do we say? Supervised. That means, for example, teacher teaches you the concept. Okay. For example, for a child, kid, you can say. That person is being taught numbers from 1 to 10 for the very first time. Okay. Now, what you do? First of all, you train that person, kid. This way the 1 is written, this way the 2 is written, this way the 3rd is written, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have trained that person. Train. Right? After that, what you do is, you test that person whether that person understood properly or not, right? So you test it. What happens? You have trained. So is it the case that kid will answer everything properly? Not needed. That person may forget the things. For machine, we cannot say that it forgets, but still it happens that in test it is getting failed. Failed means 100% right answers we are not getting. So what do we do? Wherever the kid is making the mistake, we correct it, isn't it? We correct it. Right? So this is the procedure for supervised learning. And after this also what happens? That you can see that again you will give the test data and check it out whether it is working properly or not. This is supervised learning wherein teacher is there who is supervising you. They teach you, test you when problem, that is some failure is there, they correct you. That is supervised learning, right? Unsupervised. What is that? No supervisor is there. You learn yourself. For example, if I say you that these are the YouTube videos and you need to learn yourself, right? Nobody is there on you to supervise you, right? Whatever you get is your own data, right? That is your own knowledge. No supervision is there. You can learn yourself, fine? So how do you learn that? You see the videos. Okay, for this particular thing, this many characteristics are there. Okay, so it should be something like this, right? That's what you are getting in your mind, right? But do I come to you to correct you? No, I do not come to correct you. Fine. Unsupervised. You can understand, right? The the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning, isn't it? So for cluster analysis, clustering is unsupervised learning where class label is not there. This is cat, this is dog is not there. Based on the characteristics, you group them. You do not name them. That is this one, this is this one. You may say it as group 1, group 2. Fine. Okay. So group data to form new categories. As for example, cluster houses to find distribution patterns. Principle. What is the principle of cluster analysis or clustering? That is maximizing the intra-class similarity and minimizing interclass similarity. You can say class is there, class is not there in this, label is not there, the groups are there, right? So we mean to say that, see, intra-group similarity is maximized and intergroup similarity is minimized, right? So many methods and applications are there for cluster analysis. Say K-means clustering, K-mid-odd clustering. Then you can say hierarchical clustering, right? Many clustering are there. Now next we want to know outlier analysis. You can say, ma'am, we have already studied. We have only seen the outlier. That is what is outlier. That's what we have seen. Now we want to know about outlier analysis. So what is that? For that we can say outlier. What is that? A data object that does not comply with the general behavior of the data. Most of the students, or you can say that in your class, say very good students are there. So what do I mean to say? That say 95% people are very good in this subject, but 5% people are there who do not follow the submission schedule. There we have to tell them, bye, do submit your work. Why are you waiting? Do not waste your time, isn't it? So these people, that is such not following the schedule, that is a normal behavior, they do not follow, such people are said as the outliers. Fine. Okay. So noise or exception, what do we want to say? One person's garbage could be another person's treasure. So what should we consider? Should we consider it as noise and remove noise? That means you can say garbage, right? So should we remove that garbage, or it is the treasure for other person? See, here we are not going to consider for person. This is only one example, isn't it? The noise for a particular data can be removed, but in the same, it can be the treasure for other types of applications. So that needs to be taken care of, that what is our garbage and what is our treasure, right? Okay. Methods. By project of clustering or regression analysis, we are having outlier analysis. Through the visualization of clustering, we can definitely find the outliers. Fine. Which is useful in fraud detection, rare events analysis, whatever rarely happening events that we want to analyze. Normally, this person is having 10K data for a particular month, but suddenly it is found that person is withdrawing 1 lakh rupees. Oh, from where this person has got the money? That person steal the money? That person got the lottery or got from inheritity? From where the money has come? So, fraud detection, right? It may be normal, but that is something different and that needs to be supervised, right? That should be observed. And if some problem is there, that is considered as the fraud and that needs to be detected and possibly removed. If not, at least try to detect and stop it. That is, notify the owners of the same that something like this is there. Is it really the problem or you got lottery, right? So something like that you should see, you should notify, you should modify or monitored, right? So next topic which we want to learn in this particular chapter is classification of data mining systems. So they are of say three types. First is classification according to the kinds of databases mined. Second is classification according to the kinds of knowledge mined. Third one is classification according the kind of techniques utilized. Database, knowledge and techniques, right? So what are the data mining task primitives? For that, what do we say? A data mining query is defined in terms of data mining task primitives. Query. How do you query the databases? Or you can say data warehouse. These primitives allow the user to interactively communicate with the data mining system during discovery in order to direct the mining process or examine the findings from different angles or depths. The set of task relevant data to be mined, the primitives we are looking at, right? The set of task relevant data to be mined, the kind of knowledge to be mined, the background knowledge to be used in the discovery process, the interestingness, measures, and thresholds for pattern evaluation, the expected representation for visualizing the discovered patterns. So, in detail, task primitives of data mining, what do we say? Task relevant data, database or data warehouse, name, tables, warehouse cubes, conditions for data selection, relevant attributes or dimensions, data grouping criteria, knowledge type to be mined. For that, you can say characterization, discrimination, association and correlation, classification or prediction, and clustering. For background knowledge, we consider concept hierarchies, wherein we say that, say, countries are there. After that, at the next level, say states are there. After that, we are having cities. After that, we can say we are having areas. So what do we say is about any particular concept, we do have the hierarchies. So those are being used as the background knowledge. So user beliefs about relationships in the data. User beliefs too are considered as the background knowledge. Pattern interestingness measures simplicity, certainty, utility, novelty. Visualization of discovered patterns, that is, rules, tables, reports, charts, graphs, decision trees, and cubes. Now, in cubes, we can say that cubes, that means you can say three-dimensional or more than that dimensional data, right? Okay, so in that, when we say drill down, that means we are going in detail of a particular concept. And when we say roll up, that means we are going above or to the broader category of a particular concept, that is in data cubes. Next is, we want to know integration of a data mining system with a database or a new, or you can say, or a data warehouse. So for that, see, integrating, that means first of all, two things are different. They are having the separate existence. And now we are trying to integrate them. So for that, what sort of relation we should have? So let us consider they are of two types. That is no coupling, loose coupling, and you can say we can have the next two, that is tight coupling or semi coupling, isn't it? That can also be there. So first of all, let us see the no coupling. That means what? No coupling means that a DM, that is data mining system, will not utilize any function of database or data warehouse system. See, what does that mean? For example, we are having our database, that is, say, MySQL. We are having the database, that is MySQL. Now, in that, let us say that we are having the query, that is insert into my table values, say 1, comma, say name, comma, say choice. Then after we can say the date, so that is say 2020, then month, then after, yeah, you can say it is 04, then after you can say this, right? So this is the query. Now this can be executed only in MySQL. Can we execute the same in data warehouse? No, we cannot. When we are integrating, say MySQL and say any particular data warehouse system. So at that time, should we integrate it tightly, loosely, or no coupling? No coupling, that means we do not have the support for MySQL queries as well as data warehouse queries for this particular example, right? So that is no coupling. Next is, we are having loose coupling. What is that? Loose coupling means that a data mining system will use some facilities of a DB, that is database, or data warehouse system. Fetching data from a data repository managed by these systems, performing data mining, and then storing the data mining results either in a file or in a designated place in a database or data warehouse, right? So some facilities of DB or DW we use, and that is what is loose coupling. Fine. Loose coupling is better than no coupling because it can fetch any portion of data stored in databases or data warehouses by using query processing, indexing, and other system facilities. The third type of coupling is semi-tight coupling. What is that? Semi-tight coupling means that besides linking a data mining system to a database or data warehouse system, efficient implementations of a few essential data mining primitives can be provided by the database or data warehouse system, right? So these primitives can include sorting, indexing, aggregation, histogram analysis, multi-way join, and pre-computation of some essential statistical features such as sum, count, max, mean, standard deviation, etc. Next is tight coupling. What we are learning is integration of a data mining system with a database or data warehouse. Now, we are looking at the tight coupling. We have already seen no coupling, loose coupling, and semi-tight coupling. Now we are looking at the fourth, that is the tight coupling. What is that? Tight coupling means that our DM system is smoothly integrated into the database or data warehouse system. The data mining subsystem is treated as one functional component of information system. Data mining queries and functions are optimized based on mining query analysis, data structures, indexing schemes, and query processing methods of a DB or DW system. Next, what we want to learn is issues in data mining. So, this can be considered as the research issues in data mining, right? So it can be asked as major issues in data mining, or you can say research issues in data mining. This way the question can be asked to you, right? So for that, we categorize, and then after we'll see that if this particular thing, then what should be the points. If say other thing is there, then what are the research issues, right? So for that, say major issue is mining methodology, means which method we should use, the mining, which method we should use for mining, right? So for that we can say that mining various and new kinds of knowledge, mining knowledge in multi-dimensional space, data mining and interdisciplinary effort, boosting the power of discovery in a networked environment, handling noise, uncertainty, and incompleteness of data. Pattern evaluation and pattern or constraint guided mining. These are the issues, and that come in the category of mining methodology. Next is user interaction. Interactive mining. Do you want to allow the interaction with the user? If you want to allow, then how much interaction do you want to allow? At each and every step, user will be asked whether you want to mine this particular feature. Do you want to have this many percentage of support? Do you want to have this many percentage of confidence? Is it at each and every level? Do you want to have the user interaction? or at which particular point you want to have the user interaction. That is also the major issue. So in that we can say we are having interactive mining, incorporation of the background knowledge, presentation and visualization of mining results. Next is efficiency and scalability. See, we engineers always used to talk of the efficiency, and we computer engineers used to talk about the scalability. That means whatever is the existing system, if I add few more computers in that, will my system work smoothly? That is, will my system accept, adapt to this new change smoothly, or is it creating problem to the system? That is what we consider as the scalability, isn't it? So efficiency and scalability of the data mining algorithms, parallel, distributed, stream, and incremental mining methods. Diversity of data types. See, we have already talked of that is data mining, wherein we are having the data warehouse, wherein we consider different types of data are there. They can be structured, or they can be semi-structured, or they can be unstructured, isn't it? So diversity of data is there, that not only if they are structured, then too it can be say in XML format, it can be there in the database format or any other, right? So if it is structured data, structured text data, then two different formats are there, right? So how to parse it or how to work with that. Next is data mining and society. Social impacts of data mining. You are having the data from Facebook and you have mined the data in such a way that you could find that your 5 friends are having very good mood today. They are in a very good mood. They can be giving you party. So what you do? Talk to them. Arey yaar, you are having this good news. Give me party. We all can together meet and then can have party. Then we can have some more enjoyment, isn't it? Something like that. Next is privacy preserving data mining, invisible data mining, right? So that comes under the issue that is for data mining and society. Next is the topic which we want to know is knowledge discovery process. Knowledge discovery, then why it is KDD? It is typically said as knowledge discovery in databases, or in short, people used to say it as knowledge discovery in data, right? So for that, what is the process? This question is typically asked many times in the GTU paper. You need to draw this particular figure and then you need to explain it, right? Okay, so this is a view from typical database systems and data warehouse communities. Data mining plays an essential role in knowledge discovery process. So what are the steps in knowledge discovery in databases, that is in KDD process? You can say whatever databases are there, they are being integrated, and there we need to have data cleaning. Data is dirty. How the data is dirty? Is it going to get the dirt? Is it going to play in the mud? Yes. Yes. Mud? Mud, that means the dirtiness of data. It is not the dirtiness of human being, isn't it? It is not the dirtiness of human being mind. We are talking of the dirty data that needs to be clean. Say the data, whatever you have collected from the scientific instrumentation, they are noisy. So that is what we should clean, isn't it? When data is some way it is wrong, you should modify that, isn't it? How do you modify that? You can have different techniques for that. What they are, that we will see in the detail. Fine. Then what do you say is when you have integrated, you are having your data warehouse, but after cleaning, you are putting it in the data warehouse. So what happens later? The task relevant data we are capturing, right? We only consider the data that is task relevant. We should not consider other. I have given you the example. If we want to send, say, less attendance students, means we want to prepare the list and we want to send that to students addresses to their house, then what you do is you should have the information about name, enrollment number and address. We do not need to have some more information, or you can say subject related. If you want to give, then subject name, that is in this particular subject you are having less attendance, and in other you do not have the less attendance, something like that. So if you want to provide such data to the students, you can send a letter to their home, right? So address is required. If you do not want to send to home address, then you can consider it as email address, right? Okay, but marks of each semester, is it relevant there? No, it is not required. Fine. Okay, so we mean to say that task relevant data we consider. Then after we do data mining, what is that? We have seen the functionalities, so we can say classification, clustering, association rule mining. That is first of all frequent patterns we find. Then after we form the rules out of it, right? And many more functionalities we have already talked of. So those things we can apply here. After that, we will do pattern evaluation. That means we'll have the visualization of the data. If you find some problem in that, then you modify that visualization and you can say that whatever is the visualization, you evaluate that pattern. Can you find new data out of it? New, not data, new pattern out of it. Then you evaluate that pattern and try to give some more rules. Fine. Okay, so from evaluating the pattern, we are having the knowledge. What sort of knowledge? That, for example, people who are purchasing bread purchases butter also. You can say, ma'am, same example. Yes, throughout the semester, I'll see you the example. Many more, but this will be typical example. Fine. It is a simple example, and from that you can understand it very easily. Fine. So KDD process, a typical view from machine learning and statistics. We already seen KDD, right? The process we have seen. So what do we say? Now, that is from the machine learning and statistics view. So we consider input data is there. Then after we do data pre-processing. Pre-processing means we will do, say, integration, normalization. Too much data is there, so we'll do the dimension reduction. We'll consider the feature selection, and then after we'll go to data mining. So in data mining, what we consider is pattern discovery, association and correlation, classification, clustering, outlier analysis, isn't it? Then after we'll do post processing. See, we already done the pre-processing, then apply the data mining. Now we'll be doing the post-processing. What is that? We'll have the pattern evaluation, pattern selection, pattern interpretation, and pattern visualization. And after that, we'll be having pattern information knowledge, right? So, multi-dimensional view of data mining says that data to be mined, knowledge to be mined, techniques utilized, and applications adapted. So, data to be mined, that means we consider database data, relational, object oriented, heterogeneous, data warehouse, transactional data, stream, temporal, time series, sequence, text, web, multimedia, graphs, social and information networks. Knowledge to be mined, that means the data mining functions. So, characterization, discrimination, association, classification, clustering, trends, deviation, outlier analysis. Descriptive versus predictive data mining, multiple integrated functions, and mining at multiple levels. What about the techniques utilized? They are data intensive, data warehouse, machine learning, statistics, pattern recognition, visualization, high performance, etc. Applications adapted, they are retail industry, telecommunication, banking, fraud analysis, biodata mining, stock market analysis, text mining, web mining, etc. So, on what sort of data mining is there? That is, we have talked of database oriented data sets, that is, relational database, data warehouse, transactional database, advanced data set, and advanced applications. So, you can say for that data streams or sensor data, time series data, structured data, graphs, social networks, object relational databases, heterogeneous databases, spatial data, you can say spatial temporal data, multimedia database, right? Text databases, www web, right? So all these things we consider sequence, trend, and evolution analysis. For them, we can say trend, time series, and deviation analysis, sequential pattern mining. As for example, first by digital camera, then by large SD memory cards. Periodicity analysis, on a basic period do the analysis, right? Motifs, and you can say biological sequence analysis, similarity based analysis, mining data streams, they are ordered, time varying, potentially infinite data streams, right? For structure and network analysis, we can say structure, graph mining is there, or XML trees are there, web fragments are there. Information network analysis, wherein we consider social networks, multiple heterogeneous networks, links carry a lot of semantic information. So, link mining can be there. Web mining, wherein we consider from PageRank to Google, analysis of web information networks, wherein we consider web community discovery, opinion mining, usage mining, right? So that's all for today.